Noisy Pixel.
Don't let anyone get out of here alive. Shoot to kill.
I'm not dying here.
I put a lot of trust in developers when they take a series that I loved growing up and bring it to a new generation of gamers. This is exactly what happened when Square Enix revealed that they were developing a tactical action survival game based in the Front Mission universe. I was even more impressed with the team that they got on it, which involved developers and designers who I highly admire. However, I need to learn to control my emotions and remember that sometimes things just aren't meant to be. This is Noisy Pixel's review for Left Alive.
Oh my god, this is the exact opposite of safe!
The civilian is dead.
Left Alive opens with a war that connects the three main protagonists, Mikhail, Olga, and Leonid. Each of these characters has their own reasons for being in the war and their own backstory that is explained throughout the game's narrative. I ended up actually liking the story for these characters, but never felt connected to the supporting cast who popped their heads in and out of the game during missions. In this regard, I felt that the developers are trying to create personalities to the likes of the over-the-top characters from the Metal Gear series, but it ends up feeling forced and they never really made a dent on standing out. The three protagonists, on the other hand, had enough time to flesh out who they are and their reasons for fighting. However, that doesn't mean they're truly ever likable. Throughout the story, players will make choices that decide what happens in the game. This actually works pretty well, but a few times I noticed when I was trying to get to a certain outcome, I'd get the worst scenario. Still, the feature works and it made story interactions more bearable. You see, it's easy to look past these blemishes found within the story because of how bad the gameplay is. Let's just start off with explaining what the player is tasked to do in a mission. The idea is to travel through an enemy-infested map to a certain point. Along the way, players can meet survivors who they can help escape. What's interesting about how all this works is how the developers thought they'd present the maps as free roaming, but instead set up the levels to have one route that the player must take. Anything outside of that and the player will be seen by the enemy.
Caution. The enemy is approaching.
The enemy AI is truly unique in that they are really dumb yet powerful soldiers. Let me explain. When throwing a Molotov at an enemy, you'd think this would cause awareness by the surrounding enemies of the victim, but no, not in Left Alive. Instead, the enemy will burn for a bit and then go back to their guard position. However, in a large area full of enemies, if one spots you without the enemy saying a word, everyone, including mechs and tanks, will look at you as if you were in a bad dream. The AI also makes the game more difficult than it already is. You'll die. A lot. Getting spotted will 80% of the time lead to it. Stealth is the main selling point of the game, but the stealth is as finicky as the enemies are, which goes hand in hand with the game's terrible controls and button layout. There are also moments when the player has no choice but to fight enemies, but if you don't have any bullets or materials, you can save yourself stuck. So much about the game is wrong, including the strange animations where the characters are displayed in a stone-like pose while crouching, or when the character jumps and simply reaches their arms up and flies. Redeeming qualities would be that the cutscenes and audio design are decent and perhaps the only reason why anyone went on to get through this game. However, this also has its issues given that every time an enemy is near you, you have to hear
Caution. The enemy is approaching.
over and over again. Left Alive is sadly not a good game, but the foundation is there for it to truly be something beautiful. The characters are fine and there are even mechs, but sadly, something went wrong during this game's development which caused them just to put out a game that lost its direction. I would never replay Left Alive, and I get sad when I have to tell people that it's bad because I wanted it to be great. But for this game, I would have even settled for it to be good. Instead, we got a lifeless mess that bears the Front Mission universe on its shoulders. Noisy Pixel is giving Left Alive a 4 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Noisy Pixel is ran by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our feature content.